Welcome back. Our next process, develop project management plan. What would we do without a project management plan? Our project management plan is the roadmap. The roadmap which shows us where we're going. The roadmap which shows us what we need to do to get to the end goal, which is the approved deliverable, which has been transitioned to the customer. So let's talk about our inputs to develop project management plan. The first input we've already talked about. It's the project charter. The project charter, remember, contains a lot of high-level information, which is very important to begin to develop our project management plan. We talked about high-level constraints, risks, assumptions, and so on. And that's why the project charter is relevant here as an input. Our next input is kind of new. It's not entirely new, but it's kind of new. Before, we used to call it outputs from planning processes. But now, the PMI have made some adjustments. It's now called outputs from other processes, not outputs from planning processes anymore. And there's a reason. When you really think about it, it's a worthwhile change. Outputs from other processes. Now, what does the project management plan really consist of? It consists of subsidiary plans across all of the knowledge areas. Cost management plan, schedule management plan, communications management plan, risk management plan, procurement management plan, on and on and on. You know about that. It also consists of baselines, subsidiary plans and baselines. But there's another thing that we need to take into account, and that is, as you proceed through project management, through the different process groups, something happens. Something happens. We don't stay the same. What happens? We begin to move through different phases and aspects of the project. And that means that our project management plan needs to be updated. So we're going to update our project management plan. You probably remember the term project management plan updates. Well, those updates become inputs. It's like a recycle. So, outputs from other processes refers to subsidiary plans, baselines, and project management plan updates, which come throughout the project, be it in executing or in monitoring and controlling. You always have those project management plan updates. So that's a huge one, really glaring from the 4th edition. That has changed. Our next input is enterprise environmental factors, and our final one is organizational process assets. Now, I don't need to dwell on that because you already know what those are. Hopefully, you read chapters 1 and 2, and you listened to chapters 1 and 2. So those inputs are pretty much understood right now. The tools and techniques, very similar to develop project charter. The tools and techniques are expert judgment and facilitation techniques. As usual, expert judgment is used to knock the project management plan into shape. If there are things that you don't really understand about planning for cost, planning for schedule, planning for quality or risk, you're not going to just stay there in isolation. You're going to get help. You're going to get expert judgment, okay? And that's why expert judgment is relevant to developing your project management plan. And then facilitation techniques like brainstorming, maybe you even mastermind, all facilitation techniques. You're trying to come to a point where you fully understand the scope of the project management plan, you're removing all the roadblocks, and you're having that interaction with team members and stakeholders to come out with a project management plan. So you use your facilitation techniques to facilitate interaction with a team to get your output. And moving on to the outputs, our only output of this process is the project management plan. Your project management plan, remember, it's a roadmap. But your project management plan is not created in isolation in projects. It's created with the team, except you're working in isolation, which for the most part we don't as project managers. We have a team. So your project management plan should be approved by the team, should be approved by stakeholders, should be agreed on. Remember, the people carrying out the work, those are the people who should be working, chiseling all those estimates and putting all that planning together, your schedule management plan, your cost management plan, all of that great stuff that you get from planning, all of those subsidiary plans. You're going to work with the team, and then you're going to put them all together. So let me go through a laundry list of some of the things that you need to be thinking about in this process. You need to be thinking about a cost management plan, a schedule management plan, a scope management plan, a cost performance baseline, a schedule baseline, your WBS, your WBS dictionary, and your project scope statement. You also need to be thinking about a process improvement plan, a quality management plan, a risk management plan, a human resource plan, a communications management plan, a procurement management plan, a stakeholder management plan, and so on and so forth. And that concludes our review of the Develop Project Management Plan process.